off, and I know Mayor French is here, so we can just do it.
Okay.
Mayor Pagano, would you like to lead us in the pledge? Oh, here he is. Hold on, hold on. I told you he was coming.
Do that?
Mr. Mayor?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
How's everybody?
Good, good. So, Mayor Pagano, in your first Ragtown Park meeting, would you lead us in the pledge?
I'd be proud to. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Knott, would you call the...
Okay.
Can I get a motion to bring the meeting to order?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. This is the
Second, yeah.
All right.
Ragtown Park Commission meeting dated 5/21/2013.
Okay, so I just got a motion to bring the meeting to order.
Okay, Commissioner
Got a first
Brett.
and a second.
Right. Commissioner Brett?
Here.
Okay. Benedict Salanitro is excused. And Paul Rosenberg is excused. Commissioner Pagano?
Yep.
Commissioner French?
Yep.
Commissioner Carvin?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then all in favor of bringing the meeting to order? On the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good, terrific. Okay, so, minutes of the meeting. Any comments from last month's meeting on the minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the 4:15 meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Okay.
There are only three of us that can vote, is that okay?
What's that?
There are only three of us
Actually,
that
that's
can vote.
right.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, 3 is good. You
3 out
still...
of 6 is not a
That's
quorum,
fine.
though, right? Is it?
No, it's not.
Yes, you want to wait? We can vote, we can put
we'll
them
have to-
over.
That's a good point. We'll wait for the,
Okay.
we'll approve the minutes next month.
That's
Just
fine.
remember to do that, Mr. Dwanek.
Yeah,
And let's
we'll-
move to comments from the public. Goldie. We got more concerts this year, Goldie. Bill, how many do we have now? 7, Goldie. I got 7, up to 7.
Oakland Beach is incredible. It's incredible, and I thank you for putting it on the New York State or National Register of Historic Places because that's where it belongs. But I love to get to the concerts, and we have concerts in the spring. I just got the schedule, and in the summer and in the fall, right, Billy? Yeah, and I try to help out as much as I can by going because I love music. Music is key. Without music, we're dead. Excuse me, Lord, but that's the only way I feel. We're dead. I would like to see more concerts than that, but I don't know whether we can. I know if we. I'm on the 4th of July committee, and we have a 4th of July committee scheduled for the 4th of July at the Portchester High School. But we also have Portchester Day coming up August 24th. And I was hoping that Rye Town would have a table there and give out whatever you can give out and talk about Oakland Beach and Crawford Park and everything that you own, including Disborough Park, which I go to, and it's wonderful. It's just incredible. They have Disborough Park in Rice City. They have all kinds of baseball, tennis, everything, and it just was incredible. So, please, huh?
What was the date?
August 24th is Portchester Day. And I think you should have a table or something going on at Lyon Park. That's where we're having Portchester Day. You have to I'm on the entertainment committee, but you can get a hold of Heather in recreation and tell her what you want to do, and she'll bring it up at the entertainment committee. It's very important.
That's a good suggestion, Goldie. We'll have somebody at the Portchester Day. It's an excellent suggestion.
I think it's very important.
Very good suggestion.
Because Rye Town is the beginnings.
That's all right.
Rye Town is the beginnings.
Yep.
And the concerts are incredible, and whatever you do is incredible. So, 350 years and everything, it's even more than that. And it's wonderful that we have a historic community, and that's the way it is, and you keep history alive, thank God. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you, Goldie. Thanks very much. Other comments from the public? Please, Linda.
Good evening. My name is Linda Wells. I'm with Friends of Rytown Park. Just wanted to take a minute to publicly thank Fred Joffrey and his crew at the park for such a stellar support system for our event, which took place this past Saturday night. They were there on site most of the afternoon and well into the evening till the event was over, and they couldn't have been more cooperative and willing and cheerful, and we were really delighted to have them as part of our team that night. So thanks, Fred.
Well, thank you for saying that, Linda. And also, well, did you have something else that you want to say, or?
No, I think we had a successful event, and all proceeds are going right back into the park, so we're going to start work on the tree projects that we've been talking about. But aside from that, I also wanted to say that we will be presenting a movie in the park on July 11th. The rain date is the 18th, and it's a family movie. We're going to show the movie Big this year. So, bring a picnic and bring your family, your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and come and enjoy the movie, and let's pray for good weather. So,
What time is that, Linda?
you know what? I'm not even sure.
8:40 p.m.
8:40, as soon as it gets started.
We have to wait till twilight.
And the 11th?
We can start it.
Oh, okay, and the 11th is what kind of day?
I think it's a
Thursday. It's a Thursday.
No, the 11th is the original date, the 18th is the rain date. I believe it's a Tuesday, but I don't have my calendar with me.
Both Thursdays, okay, great.
And we'll have a little bit of entertainment for the younger children beforehand to keep them occupied, so it's out on the
Wonderful.
great lawn. Bring a lawn chair or a blanket and just come and enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
That's about it.
Well, before you go, I wanted to thank you for all that the Friends of Rytown Park do, and I thought your event on Saturday night was wonderful. And the weather was a little bit cold,
We had
but
some brave souls.
if you drank enough, it didn't hurt too much. But I thought it was a wonderful event, so thank you so much for all the hard work in putting that together.
Thanks, it was fun.
And thank you for commending the staff. I want to also take the opportunity to thank the staff, and I'm thrilled you said that, Linda. And also, we had a very successful event for the mothers from Sandy Hook. And one of the organizers of that event came up and just said, please tell your staff what a terrific job they did. She took the opportunity at your event, Linda,
Yes.
to do that. So I want to also send kudos to Fred, to you and your team, Terry, and the whole staff, Bill.
We really had a busy weekend. I think there were back-to-back events.
And we had the pancreatic walk, too.
Right, that same morning.
Went without a hitch.
That was the name.
Yeah, so,
That was NAMI. We had two walks.
well-oiled machine.
There you go. Thank you so much, Linda. Nice. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I would just say, first of all, I like having the event in the park. I remember the January nights in Coverly. I think the weekend before, or if you want to push it back, whatever, but having it in the park is great. And congratulations on that. And again, somebody sent an email about the staff. You've seen a sea change the last few years. They go the extra mile, they get the job done, and it's professionally done. So thanks to the staff. And I hear comments about the park, it doesn't look great. You got to be kidding me. I think the new landscaper is doing a great job. All the beds are cleaned out. I think the park looks great, so kudos on that as well.
I'd just like to thank our good friend, Mr. Nowotnik, as well as Mr. Joffrey, for helping out, and that landscaping decision was his. And I think both the public and staff and our board made it very clear to Mr. Nowotnik that that's policy needed to succeed. So kudos to you, Mr. Nowotnik, for making that happen, and thank you, Mayor French, for your comments. Great. Other comments from the public? Mr. Grossman, why don't you come on? I know you've been waiting patiently. Why don't you come up and talk to us about what you'd like to do?
Piece in the back of your packet.
Sit back, yeah. And I understand you contacted Mr. Nowotnik about 4 o'clock today, so this is, so we're...
Somewhat impromptu.
So that's why we didn't get a chance to send anything to the board ahead of time.
We sort of started a group. It was very impromptu.
Sorry, could you just your name, state, and then just state your name and address for the record?
Robert Grossman, 7 Chesley Road, White Plains, New York.
Okay, there you go. Better.
Thank you. I basically started with my daughter playing some recreational sports in our neighborhood, and things grew. Some of the kids she played soccer with, hockey, etc. As things progressed, found that children really weren't given the opportunity to participate in recreational activities as readily as they like to, some for financial reasons, some because they didn't have field access. So we started Pink Cleats, which started more or less as a group informally kicking the ball around, and we decided a month or two to make it formal, go through the legal paperwork, start Pink Cleats, coachesagainstcancer.org, to provide recreational activities for young kids, both girls and boys, and also to raise money for children afflicted with cancer or cancer research. At the moment, we're talking to two benefactors, the V Foundation in North Carolina and Gilda's Club. We have tentative plans for a soccer tournament in September at Rye Country Day School. We've been in talks with Scott Nelson, and we believe that's going to go through. And the reason I'm here this evening is we'd like to propose starting beach soccer at the Rye Town Park using a small area, probably much less than the volleyball currently uses. Start with a 25 by 35 area. It could be off the beach, starting 1 day a week.
Are you talking on beach or off beach?
On the beach, no cleats, barefoot or socks, more of a friendly type atmosphere like beach volleyball than, the competitive premier leagues. Start with children and possibly an adults league, see how that works, and follow the footsteps of what the town has for volleyball. Maybe we'd have 20, 30 participants at the beginning, and hopefully those numbers would grow. To avoid the busy nights with fireworks Wednesday and Friday, I was thinking either Thursday evening or a day where, it's a weekday, so it's not as busy and congested as it is on a weekend.
So you're thinking one night a week?
I think to start 1 night a week would be nice, and hopefully we have a lot of participation, and maybe we have to go to 2 nights a week.
There's a couple of things. I remember going in front of the Rye City Council board and being told by one of the Rye City Council people that we risked having our park become the least fun park in all America, because one of the reasons we don't allow ball playing on the beach, and I have to say, somehow I understand that, because especially at high tide, I think I shouldn't tell staff this. I gauge my beach visits on the tide. At low tide, we have a big beach, and at high tide, we have a small beach. And I'm not confident you'd be able to play soccer, in all honesty, at high tide. I think it'd be awfully difficult. The sand would be too deep, and it may be too short. But you'll have to evaluate that. Right now, ball playing isn't allowed on the beach, if you will, I guess other than the volleyball. So those are the obstacles, but I think that, if you sit down and work with staff and propose, sit down and talk about where you're going to be talking about going, what nights, how you would handle that, how you'd handle the high tide, quite frankly. We'd look at it. Obviously, now this is, you also have to figure out how we charge for it, right? Because I'm not sure if most of your participants are in the Rye Town, Rye City, or they're either Rye City or Rye Town residents or not, but as you probably know or may know, there's differential pricing for the two. Those are my initial thoughts. I don't know if any of the board members have any other thoughts.
One concern I have is whether or not the pitch on the beach is too hard for ball playing. I don't know if you've taken a look at the beach. After various storm events, the pitch changes, and I know that they just added sand to the beach this week. So I think it may be a little flatter now than it normally is. But, is that a concern at all?
No, I was there Thursday. I don't think there's a problem.
Were you there at low tide or high tide, do you remember?
I'm not quite sure where the tide was. It was in the morning, around 10 to 12 o'clock.
You really has two very different beaches. I love low tide. I go run down there when it's low tide, and it's awfully difficult to do that at high tide just because the tide comes way up.
I think you'd see that the area we'd use is very small compared to the beach area.
Right.
Right. And I guess that's the concern, is that on a nice night, people do tend to linger down there. So is there a defined area of the beach that you're considering using? Which particular?
Yeah, where would staff want to put it?
Right past the lifeguard.
Right. Right.
the first aid,
Yep.
more on the north side, because really
So
nobody...
volleyball's not over there? Well, volleyball's Monday night.
Volleyball's Monday on
Yeah,
the other side, right by the main entrance.
Right.
But if we set up on the north side, right beyond the lifeguard station, and, up by there, it's pretty flat.
Okay.
And then you wouldn't have to worry about high tide or low tide. I mean, are you planning on doing it on the water itself?
No, I'd want to be further back away from the
So
water.
if they're up towards the wall, right on the north side of the beach, right beyond the lifeguard shack, I think that would be fine.
How soon, sorry, Bill.
I just want to say that Fred and Terry and I are very happy to meet with you at the park, because we all had the same kind of questions that the commissioners were raising, and I think we would certainly love to see it work. So what I would suggest is we have a meeting set up within the next week or so, go over all these issues, come up with a schematic as to where it would be and all that, and how it would tie in with the other activities, because I understand there is a smaller volleyball group that's on Thursdays. We have the concerts on Tuesday nights, then there's the fireworks on Wednesdays and Fridays, so...
But Thursday night up
Good,
beyond
yeah.
the thing would definitely work.
So I'm confident that we can work something out, and we could do it in a way, I guess, that we would come back with a proposal, a detailed proposal, which you might not even have to wait till the next commission meeting to approve, but that would be up to you.
Well, that was my next question. When are you hoping to start up, Mr. Grossman?
As soon as possible.
Right.
The summer's here. I can't imagine doing it earlier than June 6th, which is, I think, the first Thursday, and probably run 10 to 12 weeks, obviously.
Well, our next meeting is June 17th. So if we targeted June 20th, is that okay?
That's fine. It would just be, it's the first year, so I think, any starting point is a good starting point.
Mayor Pagano?
Yeah, I just had one or two questions. Mr. Grossman, are you looking for the Rye-Town Park to co-sponsor, or is this strictly a Pink Cleats operation? Is this a co-sponsorship, or is it a standalone organization, or how does that...
I'm not quite sure I understand the question, but it could be co-sponsored.
You're not looking for funding?
Are you looking for funding?
No.
Okay. If it's an independent organization, I'd be only concerned about questions of liability and medical and any of those kind of things, and whether or not we have medical staff on hand in the evening if there is an injury. And how close staff could be in the event we needed something like that.
Yeah,
And I'm sure staff would
I
work
can
through
help.
that.
Yeah, I can help with a couple of answers there. The volleyball group, for example, they give us waivers for the team players, and they have about 200 to 300 of them. And in addition, they pay roughly about $17 per player. And that's what the park gets as revenue. That gives them roughly about a 13-week season, 10 to 13-week season, depending. We do have security staff on at night. I don't know what we have in the way of EMTs, but a number of our security staff are certified EMTs, and that's more or less what our response is. We don't have a crash car there. We don't have an ambulance there. It's not justified, but certainly there are enough people there that if somebody is hurt, we're on with 911 and the Rye PD, and that's how we've been servicing the volleyball group for any number of years.
So those are excellent questions. I think that... Did you have any other questions, Mayor?
No, that's it.
So ultimately, I think now you see why our staff's getting such kudos, because they're really working hard to make the park more accessible, and so if you sit down meet with the park, as they suggested, come back with a proposal on June 17th, and we'll give it serious and fair-minded consideration, please.
Yeah, I would just say, like with the volleyball, we're all about access to the park and people using it, but if this does grow, which we hope it will, we're going to look at cost recovery models so that we're not out money with staff and security and so forth. But definitely want to nurture the idea and love the concept.
No, and, like I said, we're relatively new. Our idea is to provide recreational activities. We're open to a fee structure or a shared revenue structure, whatever works for
Well, if
everybody.
you guys can make a proposal, might work with staff, they'll have if you make a joint proposal that works for yourselves and works for us. I just got to tell you, the other thing is, I don't know how you play soccer on the beach in that sand. My goodness, you guys must be in terrific shape.
Well, that's it.
You're
You need a
taking
small
too
field after 5 minutes. You can't run like you can.
Exactly right. Well, great, if you work with staff, we'll hopefully, and come back with a proposal on the 17th that addresses the concerns the mayor's raised and then makes a fee proposal of some sort that makes sense, then we'll give it serious consideration.
Thank you.
And Bill, would you give Mr. Grossman and Bishop your contact details? Thanks very much. Thank you for coming, Mr. Grossman. Any other comments, questions from the public? Please.
I was just concerned about how you would contain that activity so that it's not to the exclusion of other potential beachgoers or park visitors,
I was gonna address that.
balls sailing over the fence. That's one thing. And then what's a comfortable number? I mean, we're looking at something that's fledgling, and at what point do we say you don't want 400 children on the beach at night? I don't know.
No,
Of the impact on the environment, once again,
Sure.
25 children versus a few hundred children, who regrades the beach, who does all of that, who cleans up the garbage, who does all of that. So there's a lot that goes into consideration, I think.
No, that's very fair, and please, you obviously need to take all those considerations into account when you sit down with Mr. Grossman, and then the timing and all that. Thank you, Linda. Any other questions? Any other comments from the public? Okay, great. Okay, financial and operations reports. Now, just one thing. Hold on before we give that report, Fred. Sorry. When are we going to talk about our public-private partnership? I see Christina here. Would you mind, Fred, if we kick off with that? Christina, are you prepared to? Because I know you had a visit the other day, so maybe you and come up and talk to us a little bit about where we stand with everything. Thank you.
Christina Beecher, 418 Forest Avenue, Rye. So we had a walkthrough on Monday that Bishop conducted. There were 7 individuals there representing a couple of different firms. It was a great visit. They asked a lot of really good questions. Bishop and I discussed afterward what sort of distribution plan we had for the RFP. So we were a little concerned, and please add your thoughts as well, that our primary goal is to make the distribution as wide as possible. And so we talked about, Bishop told me what list that the town had sent it out to. I told him that our committee has been assembling names, and Christina Collins has been the point person for sending out the RFP and making contact with other firms. She's created a master list. I think she said there were 60 names that our committee sent it out to. Bishop said that it was sent out to about 25. So we're trying to put those names together and make sure we've cast a wide net as possible. We do have the July 19th, I believe, is the date that the proposals are due by. And we'd like to try to stick to it, and it's premature to, I think, deviate from that, but we would like to just put the idea in our heads that if we need a little more flexibility, we might want to give ourselves that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, the concern we had was that so far we have had relatively limited interest. And collectively, now we've done at least 2 tours of Rytown Park with interested parties. I don't think we have more than 4 interested parties right now, based on the people that have actually gone on tour. Now, that doesn't mean that out of the 60, 70, some odd mailings we did, that there aren't people furiously working on something, but they haven't physically made themselves known to us. They haven't come and asked questions, and I think that perhaps that's problematic.
So effectively we've got 2 or 4 people that have demonstrated some level of interest.
We have 4 different teams of people that have come in, visited, asked a number of questions, have copies of the RFP. We don't know whether they're going to be responding or not, but that tells me that there are only 4 people that are really interested enough to take the time to come and look at the facility in a physical sense.
Let me talk to John, Seaside Johnny's. Do we have any
I know,
knowledge of do we know
I
if he's-
personally sent him and his partner a copy of the RFP, yes.
I think the other thing that became apparent when we were walking through is that, we had kept the scope broad on purpose, but that the potentially interested parties may need more information, and that's why when I sent out an email to the commissioners, I mentioned that we should probably quickly make an effort to get the get the historic structures report up on the website or available electronically. And people were mostly interested in how much can they expand, the bathing pavilion. And that's where, we have great information. We have all the plans and the report that Lisa Easton did, and it's all top flight. And I think that's the kind of information that would help people make more informed bids.
That's exactly right. I mean, because as you point out, Christina, the capacity to expand it, you can almost triple the space available there.
Right.
And, and still be consistent with the historical footprint. And you're right, that's important. Now, I saw your recommendation, which I thought was a terrific one. Do you have any sense how long it would take us to get digital?
We're probably going to have to send it outside. The report that Christina's talking about is about 300 some odd pages.
Right.
And it has a lot of what I would call plans or layouts
Do you
and
have a
things of
sense
that
of what that
nature.
would cost to make it digital?
Well, the last time we copied it, just for the commissioners, it was about $300. Now, that was just to make, 6 copies rather. What we're talking about here is we would have to digitize the entire document and then get it onto the website and so forth. I think that would be beneficial regardless of the cost, even if it's, $200-300 to do, mainly because it then allows us to push this a lot further and a lot farther. I mean, there are beaches, all over the United States, and there are probably other people that have done some similar types of projects where they've taken beach or park property along the coastline and developed it. And that could be in California, could be in Portland, could be in Florida, or New London, Connecticut, which I had mentioned already to the commissioners.
Do you have any, both Doug and Joe, do you have any memory of when the Playland RFP was out, how many of the final bidders actually did that tour? Do you have any information about
That's
that?
a good question. I don't. I know we had, 17 groups, more or less, or was it 15?
They had a lot of people show up for the tour, and it was in the tens, maybe 20, 30 people show up, and then we had 16 bids, and then a couple people dropped out, so it was a much higher turnout.
I mean, we could set up a second walkthrough date, and then we would just have to make sure that we publicize that and reach out again to the group. Or let's say when we get the materials digitized, we could send a follow-up to everybody and just updating them.
Did Dawn follow up with what they do in the city?
I haven't, no, she didn't. But.
Well, let's, is the board prepared to, I'm assuming that it's not going to exceed a few $100, maybe $500. Is the board prepared to authorize Mr. Nowotnik to spend the money to digitize if it's in that range?
Absolutely, and I think we should make it easily available on both the Rye Town website and the Rye City website in case people look for it.
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
Also, I would want to ask the board to consider at least the option of perhaps pushing some of the dates back. As Christina pointed out, I think July 19th, I think it is the due date, and
I don't see why we couldn't push it. Can we go to July 30th?
again, with the interest being that we want to get more
in other words, July
participation.
19th, July 31 doesn't change our time frame much anyway, right?
No.
So if I think we had a 2-week late start anyway, didn't we?
Right. I was looking for perhaps a little bit more, like maybe the end of August, and give us
That much? I don't know if I want to go that
roughly
much.
40
right away.
days.
I mean, well, this is obviously a formal process, but I certainly would be prepared to go today till July 31. I don't know why we picked July 19th. It's a funky date.
I think we're just working in certain increments and working backward from year end.
Well, again, this is, I think we're all want to do everything we can to make this process as successful as possible. So, as a first step, I'm personally happy. I don't want to go to the end of August, Bishop, just yet.
Well, I
Because
think you
there may
also want to
be-
keep some momentum
Right,
going
yeah.
and keep a full push on. And I don't recall exactly how it came when the commission voted on it, but if the commission were to issue a press release or to somehow create, work jointly with the city of Rye, that could get some media coverage, that would really help.
That's a good idea. We haven't got any media coverage. Tom, who's in charge of that? Are you in charge of that, Tom? Get the video, circulate this video. It's actually
To make an actual press
it's
release.
surprising that we haven't gotten any coverage
Well,
whatsoever.
Yeah.
we have a very small
But
sphere
even
of
Westmore
influence
News,
here.
I guess the Westmore News picked
Well,
it up.
yeah, all the local papers
Rye City
reported on
papers
it to a small
We
degree.
had the media at our Rye Town Park Forum.
Yeah, we got the electronic
Right.
media too is a good outlet,
Yeah.
whether it's the traditional stuff. Word gets out and it can go viral if you like.
Right, but this is a multi-million-dollar project as we see it. I mean, I think as the commission sees it, it's a multi-million-dollar project. We need to be able to push this out a lot further than New York State even. We're talking about trying to get it across the entire country because there are developers out there that are doing these kinds of projects. And, they're not here. They don't live in Rye, they don't live in Mamaroneck, and they don't live in Portchester.
Let's do this. Let's, I guess I'd like to propose that we authorize Mr. Nowotny to digitalize the documents for a cost not to exceed $600, $500?
$500 is plenty.
$500?
Yes.
I'd like to extend the date as a starting to July 31. So can I get a motion to authorize Mr. Nowotny to digitalize the document not to exceed $500 and for us to extend the submission date to July 31? Can I get a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second. Okay. Then Mr. Nowotny just going to call the roll.
Right. Pagano. Hold on a second. Okay.
You guys make a press release, we can put it on the station.
Commissioner Brett?
Yes.
Commissioner Pagano?
Yes.
Commissioner French?
Yep.
Commissioner Carvin?
Okay, and then that's,
Okay.
so then as, say, a second recommendation, let's try and more aggressively promote. So let's, we have Commissioner Salnitro's working with you, Christine, and with Bishop. And we got the guys from Nytown Park involved as well. Are you guys promoting this as well?
We can help, we haven't done anything yet, but we
Right.
can help with the press release and
Great.
access to the media.
Well, I'm almost thinking we almost put a promotional committee together. This is one of the things where you call, like the guy who did Bryant Park, has anybody called him? The sustainable development, I haven't really reached out to them. Are we, maybe could we organize one, certainly get a press release out, and that'd be helpful. Thank you, Tom. And secondly, we should let's call a meeting of the committee, and let's come up with a promotional strategy.
Great.
And I'll open that to anybody on the board, obviously, who wants to participate and get this moving forward, because I think it's an exciting project, and we should do that. Now, one other thing we talked about, that came up at the meeting with the public, the Saturday meeting with the public, was, have you considered fundraising? Have you thought about fundraising? I know, Mayor French, you had some thoughts on this, and maybe you want to share. But one thing is, I think we've been talking about $10-12 million, but that may be like the soup to nuts, A to Z renovation of the building, and you may be able to get the building renovated for less than that, in a way that makes it functional as a first step. And then, can you go out and raise $2-3 million and then have the town and the village, town, the city, pick up the rest, and then we even, at that point, might even call back Susan Oslander.
Right.
Say, we're prepared to help, solicit grants as well. So maybe in that promotional committee, we also detach a group to think about how we might push that fundraise alternative forward as well.
Yeah, the one example that I always use is the Friends Meeting House in the city of Rye was given to us 12 years ago. And for 10 years it sat dormant because the estimate we had to rehabilitate the house was $750,000. The government didn't have the money. We couldn't fundraise that kind of amount. But when we re-estimated the projects and said, what would it cost for us just to get it operational, so you could have people meet in there and you could just use it for general purposes, the number was $100,000. And just like that, we got a grant for $50,000, and then the city matched the $50,000, and now we have events there. It's been painted, it's safe, it's secure, right, Bill? I mean, that's the type. So let's relook at the estimate. Is there a way to get it operational that we can start using it? And I'm sure the city can kick in some money, and the town, and with grants, and then fundraising. One big donor, that's all you really need, and then everything rallies around. So I think during the recession, it didn't seem feasible, but we do see trends coming out of the economy with mortgage and building and all the elastic revenues that support the city, that we think there would be an opportunity for us to now maybe get a good donor and do something on a lower scale.
I mean, we're happy to take that up on the committee. I think it's easier to fundraise when you have a vision, and we're so early in the process that I think it may be premature to ask for public donations until we know where we're going, but we can lay the groundwork and we should think about it, because I think it should be, once we have a plan, it should be, I won't say easy, but it shouldn't be insurmountable to raise a fair amount of private funds for that.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking that we would begin to fundraise ourselves just yet.
Yeah.
But to let groups that fundraise know that this is possible. For example, the Children's Museum.
Right.
Now, they're obviously very far along down the road with playment, but I approached them 3 or 4 years ago and said, hey, why don't you, rather than go into the Playland, why don't you come into our facility? And it would have, they'd be up and running today if they'd looked at that opportunity. So, and obviously it's too late for them now, but that kind of organization that's already fundraising might say, oh, here's a locale, where you could team up. So I think you're right.
So, Bishop, can we get a revised estimate?
Well, the difficulty there is first you need a scope. So if we can get a revised scope, we can get a revised estimate. The problem is that the estimates that we have on the table now were based on a broad range of options that were there that do not include, in this particular case, do not include expansion of the facility, physical expansion of the facility. So, if we're looking at it and saying we're going to keep the facility the same size, the same basic structure, the question becomes, what do you want to do?
Let me ask this
You can
question.
gut the building and open it up, and for, as you say, a couple of $100,000, we could probably do something like that.
Bishop, let me ask you.
You can't use it in the wintertime.
Well, hold on. So let me just ask the question, Mayor Pagano. I know you're
Because you don't have
involved.
heat. You don't have
You're in real estate, and we have Commissioner Salnitro, who is an engineer, a city engineer. I mean, if the two of you were to walk through the building, could you come up with as a first step,
I think that would be...
guesstimate in terms of scoping it, right?
I think so.
And thinking about different scoping options, and then if we come back and say, hey, you know what, this could be more realistic on this basis, then we could formally hire an architect to go in there and evaluate one of the different scoping options.
I mean, one thing I'm going to say, and I know Christina can add to this, but in historic preservation, there are different levels of restoration of buildings. There's rehabilitation, there's restoration, and there's rebuilding. And the scope of work that we may have put to Lisa Easton in this historic structures report may be broader than what is necessary to use the building
I think it
going
was more
forward.
restoration.
Right. So what we probably want to do is have somebody go in with a different approach, like they did when they looked at the meeting house, and try and figure out what we can do to stabilize and use that building going forward. Because my concern about making this historic structures report available to potential bidders is that it may actually make people go away.
That's a good point.
I mean, there are also architects who are well known in historic preservation who may be willing to do that walkthrough with you. Maybe we can even start with the architect who did the building restoration plan for the meeting house, and ask him if he's willing to do a walkthrough with us, and just to help get this program moving forward.
But I want to add something that's a little, tangential, but I think we should think about why we're actually trying to provide a cost estimate, because the cost estimate will depend upon, as you said, the scope, but also the financing structure. So when Sustainable Playland was looking at how do you pay for the rehabilitation of those buildings, they were looking into LDC financing, which could give you a considerably lower rate, than, and you can use, and if it goes through that sort of a vehicle, you may have access to different types of contractors that may be lower cost. And so I don't want us to lock ourselves, create this dollar figure that seems like it's fixed. This is what it's going to cost. Because we don't, in many ways, it's the bidders who are going to tell us what it's going to cost. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, yeah.
And I did say this a few times at our Saturday meeting, but you don't renovate a building generally without a use in mind,
Right.
and that use is going to dictate a lot of the work that needs to be done, and obviously the cost of it. Somebody who wants to triple the size of the building,
Right.
it will cost a totally different amount of money than somebody who wants to just use the existing square footage. And
I think we should back away from even throwing these numbers out, because we're telling people, it's going to be 14 million or wherever we're telling people, and that's sort of a number in a vacuum, and it may not be that. So I think we should maybe scale back. I don't know this.
I think that's right. Look, I think that I'm sort of envisioning Mayor French's recommendation as a parallel.
Yeah.
And we keep that information for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think that, you're absolutely right. The winning bidder hopefully has a wonderful vision for the property. And they're going to do all their own due diligence and figure out the use and build accordingly. I think for us in parallel, it's probably worthwhile for us to, get a sense as to whether these ginormous numbers we've had were, as you suggest, Councilwoman Brett, A++ restoration with, fine carvings or,
Wish list.
Right, a large
the wish list.
Yeah.
And then there's another probably cost of just getting up and making it functional and having, some parties in there.
Right. I mean, if we wanted to go down the route with a not-for-profit, maybe taking over the use of the building for their own purposes, that's a reason why we might want a different estimate for the restoration cost, because there aren't very many not-for-profits who are going to walk in there with a $14 million estimate for renovation, because then they know that that's just an unachievable amount of money for a not-for-profit. But if we're looking to partner with a not-for-profit, we might want a different kind of estimate, like the one that might be achievable.
And I think that was the suggestion that came out of the community meeting. And so if there's not-for-profit out there today and say, hey, I'd love to be at that space, and we're about to raise $2 million, and if the town and the city, come up with another $2 million, well, I can use that space, and that would be perfect for the purposes. And so that's sort of what I'm thinking, is where we're appealing to a community of developers and investors. There's also a fundraise community out there, not-for-profit community out there, that we should also be appealing to. And of course, the other thing that people said to me at the dinner on Saturday night and said at that meeting is they're terribly concerned about commercialization of Ragtown Park. And I know everybody on this board is very sensitive to that concern.
But I think we have to wait till we have real things on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Those are the concerns, and we try to address all of that in the RFP, in the neighborhood impact, environmental impact.
Yeah. Well, look, so thank you for your suggestion. We'll digitalize. That's a wonderful suggestion. We're going to get it out as broad a group as possible. And if you could coordinate with Bishop and Bill, let's get a meeting to really figure out how we promote this to get the widest coverage possible.
And if we could get the press release, if either it's a joint press release or all the municipalities, the city of Rye, Portchester, Rybrook, everyone simultaneously puts that out.
Well, I know the Village of Portchester is anxious to get development going, and
quite a bit
pro-development,
and we have development tools already in place. Whether and I'm sure there's a method and manner by which an LDC, which we've also got in place, and by the way, I serve on it, might be a really good way to go in a situation like this, and using the benefits and the availability of opportunities of somebody like a National Development Commission. This is the kind of stuff they do. They love this kind of stuff, and it's a public-private partnership, and they're solid. Now, I don't know what the track record is in restoration, and I've been involved in that also, but restoration is very pricey, but with a building like this, I think everybody is very sensitive about that, and we need to take care.
Well, this
But
is-
the tools can be in place.
That's wonderful. And look, just the situation of restoration, the tragedies, the building's deteriorated for 50, 60 years. And so it's just going to find the right mix and right balance.
Well, one other little thing, Doug, you can speak to this, but remember when the firehouse in town was being renovated and the roof was being rebuilt and they were going to put asphalt shingles? And the public said, no, we want slate. So then private money came in and specifically funded that upgrade to slate because that's what we wanted. And that was a good balance of interest and people putting money where their interests are.
Beautiful. Well, thanks for all your hard work on this, Christina. Thank you.